Okay, so we're live. My Dandavat Pranam to all the Vaishnavas, servitors, devotees of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mutt worldwide. We're broadcasting this Friday evening at the order of Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardhan Mahārāj at the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju, trying to be of some service to the servitors. And also my pranams to all the well-wishers and friends of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mutt, all the sincere seekers, you're welcome. And I also take this opportunity to wish everyone Shubh Deepavali, Happy Diwali. This is a very auspicious time when Lord Ramachandra, he returned back to Ayodhya after winning the battle of Lanka and winning over Ravan and his forces. So, and a day after that is always Govardhan. So, very auspicious time of the year. We have our panel over here. Let me bring them on. We have Sripad Chinmay Dev Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam Chinmay Dev Prabhu.
Dandavat.
Hare Krishna. Good to have you. And also Nandakishore Prabhu is here. As always, we're going to begin. Before we begin, we will have auspicious invocation, Mangalacharan, invoking the mercy of the Masters. So please, whoever can, follow along. Otherwise, you can simply listen. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sacha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitam Sacha Om Ajnanatirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruvai Namah Guru Abhishya Sapurakam Guru Ganera Shisha Sambhushitam Chinta Chinta Samastu Vedanipunam Shri Rupa Panthanugam Govinda Abhidam Ujjalam Vartanum Bhaktianvitam Sundaram Vande Vishwagurun Cha Divya Bhagavat Premno Hibij Pradam Devam Divyatanum Suchandra Vadanam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandranandapuram Sadekavarnam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Shri Siddhantanidim Subhaktilasitam Saraswatanambaram Vandetam Shubhadam Madeka Sharanam Nasiswaram Śrīdharam Shri Siddhanta Saraswati Tividito Gaudiya Gurvanvaye Bhata Bhanuriva Prabhata Gagane Gaura Sankirtane Mayavadati Mingilodharagatan Udhritta Jivaniman Krishna Prema Sudabdigahan Sukham Pradat Prabhum Tam Bhaje Namo Gaura Kishoraya Bhaktavadhuta Murtaye Gaurangra Padma Bhrangaya Radha Bhavan Shevine Bande Bhakti Vinodam Shri Gaura Shakti Sharupakam Bhakti Shastragya Samrajam Radha Rasa Sudhanidim Gaura Vrajashita Sheshaira Vaishnavaira Vanda Vigraham Jagannatha Prabhum Vande Premadhyam Viddha Vaishnavam Pancha Kalpataru Bhayascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakhyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Namo Mahavadanaye Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaurutashe Namo. And we also welcome Sripad Arun Krishna Prabhu, who's just joined us, our distinguished panelist. Dandavat Arun Krishna Prabhu. So we're going to continue with subjective evolution of consciousness. Today, the topic that I have is It reads, the world is in the mind. And if anyone wants to follow along, we're going to be reading the Plane of Misconception, which is chapter 4. So that's the chapter that we're going to be reading from. And today's topic is titled, The World is in the Mind. So if the panel permits, then I could start reading. All right. Okay. So I'm going to read the little primer here. It says, this chapter is an excerpt from a conversation between Śrīla Śrīdhar Mahārāj and neurophysiologist Dr. Daniel Murphy, physical organic chemist Dr. Thudam Singh, and Dr. Michael Marchetti. And now, this is Param Guru Mahārāj says, we should understand that we are living in the plane of misconception. The whole thing is false. It is all a part of illusion. Within the world of illusion, something may have its place. But when we deal with the real truth, however, we will conclude that everything here is like a dream. This whole world is like a dream, a misconception. Any part of this world will therefore also be misconception. What is real, what is truth, will become apparent when a thing is judged in connection with the real world. The association of saints who have a genuine connection with spiritual reality promotes this transaction. What is real and what is unreal? Whatever has a connection with the real self, with the soul, is real. Soul is consciousness in the world of pure consciousness. Whatever is connected with the mind in the mental world of false ego is all false. A part of the false is also false, extremely false. But it has got its negative utility. Everything is true only by having connection with the absolute truth. Everything is there in the absolute. So the finite cannot produce anything which is not in the infinite. The finite world, therefore, is rather a shadow or a perverted reflection of the whole truth. The foundation of my argument is as follows. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained that while Sankaracharya has denied the existence of this perverted reflection, we cannot dismiss it. If it does not exist, then why has Shankara come to preach Vedanta? Illusion means this is not that. One thing may appear to be something else. An illusion is not what it appears to be, but what it is not non-existent. Okay, let me read that sentence again. An illusion is not what it appears to be, but it is not non-existent. In that way, it is real. It has its existence. Quick pause here to the panel. I want to submit that the word Maya, if you look, it's Ma, Ya. Two things. Ma means no, Ya means this. which you put together, it says, not this. That's the real, literal meaning of Maya. Back to Param Guru Maharaj. Within the real world, which is created by the help of the Lord's internal energy, Swarup Shakti, this world of misconception has no place. But in a relative way, the conditioned world has an indirect relationship with the unconditioned world. So Maya is existing. In that sense, it is true. But it is false in that it cannot give you the desired results you are searching after. In that sense, it is all false. Dr. Marchetti. Vaishnavism says that this material nature is real as a reflection, but it is not real as the absolute reality of the spiritual world. Could you explain? Srila Śrīdhar Mahārāj. Reality is composed of unreal substance and real substance. We may see it like that. This is the world of misconception. Misconception means I think something is mine, but really it is not mine. Everything belongs to the Absolute. Everything belongs to Him. But we say it is mine, and we quarrel with each other. Quick pause. In India, in Devanagari, this is called Aham Mameti. Do you concur, Arun Prabhu?
Yes, probably.
Aham Mameti. I and mine.
Prabhuji, I was thinking about the word Jagat.
Uh-huh.
Jagat is a synonym for sansar, for example.
Right.
But it is very funny. The root word of Jagat is Jag, and inhabited by souls which are not Jagat. It's kind of a contradictory, right? It's an illusion. So, I am this, but really it is asleep.
Arun Prabhu, you are flexing your Prayagraj muscle. You are a big Pandit of Prayagraj and you're flexing. Okay, we are humbled. We are lowly creatures. I'm a lowly creature and I'm humbled.
No, Prabhuji, I'm just operating my intelligence.
No, I'm just joking with you. I'm joking. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Okay, so we go back to Param Guru Maharaj. I think something is mine, but really it is not mine. Everything belongs to the Absolute. Everything belongs to Him. But we say it is mine and we quarrel with each other. Actually, everything within this world is the property of another. But as a result of misconception, we fight with each other, and so many reactions result from that fight. The difficulty is that the soul is entangled in this mock fight. Otherwise,
very precise word Guru Maharaj is using. That's exactly precise word the quantum scientists use.
Otherwise, this world of fighting and misconception has no value. But the dust of spirit, a very infinitesimal part of the spiritual reality, is entangled in this world and concerned with this world of mock fighting. Without the spiritual energy within this world, nothing would remain. A magician's sleight of hand is all based on misconception. It is false. Still, we are perplexed by his tactics. That is also true. A magician or hypnotist can show what is not real to be real. And yet, while we are under his spell, we cannot deny its reality. Everything, including our own self, belongs to Krishna. But the difficulty arises when we see something other than Krishna. Separate interest. The consciousness of separate interest is the root of all evils. We are one with Krishna. But whenever the seed of separate interest sprouts, and we think we have some separate interest, that we are not included in the interest of Krishna, that is the root of such misconception. Bhayam dvitiya vinibheshata syat ishadapetasya viparyayo asmriti tanamayato buddha vijetitam bhaktayekaisham gurudevatatma. In this way, the scriptures have given a diagnosis of the disease or concoction of false conception. We are living in a fool's paradise. And the very beginning of material existence that we can trace is at the inception of a separate interest. The first deviation from Advaya Gyan is a conception of separate interest. Quick pause. Advaya Gyan, non-dual knowledge. Back to reading. Question. How can we know what is actually real? Śrīla Mahārāj. The scriptural name is Shraddha or faith. That is the developed state of Sukriti or spiritual merit. When our faith is developed, it leads us to sadhusam, the association of saints, the agents of the divine world, who are in the plane of reality, the nirguna wave beyond this world of creation, come to establish some connection with reality in our soul. That is the deepest element. The connection with saints produces faith, and faith can see reality. Quick pause here. Param Guru Mahārāj specifically uses the word Shraddha. And if you carefully read Srila Govinda Mahārāj, he refines it a little bit further, and he says that faith, when develops to the level of Shraddha, then faith has a tinge of affection. So Shraddha, he says and explains it as affectionate faith. Do you see the beauty in that, Arun Prabhu?
Absolutely, Prabhu. Hmm.
How about you, Chinmay Prabhu? Affectionate faith. That is Shraddha. How
Well,
beautiful.
his Mahārāj is always very affectionate, so his faith must be also a
Hare,
description of faith.
Hare Krishna.
So Shraddha is not translatable to English.
That is exactly what he said.
Yeah.
He said faith can be dry. So it's not exactly translatable, but the nearest that he could do, and he shared with us, was affectionate faith. Back to Param Guru Maharaj. There is a world which is only approachable by faith. Shraddha Mayo Yamaloka. Just as color is seen by the eyes and sound is perceived by the ear, that world can be perceived only by faith. Only faith can see and feel it. The Supreme Reality cannot be perceived with any other senses. Faith is the real function of the soul, and that is awakened by the agents of Vaikuntha, the saints. By faith, one's association with saints increases, and by this transaction, the culture of reality takes place. Gradually, this process makes us become fully conscious. At that time, we realize that this world in which we are living is all transient, and that our home is elsewhere. Our real home is located in the world of pure consciousness. Quick pause. A verse comes to my mind. Na sato vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate sata. Uhayorapi drishto antastanyos tattadarshi. Here, like Param Guru Maharaj is explaining, what is the difference between real and unreal, if you really look analytically? That which is transient is unreal, or which has a distinct beginning and an end. That is unreal. And that which is eternal is real. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata. That is the real definition of real and unreal. Because if you really see, a dream is real till such time that we're in it. Because we're experiencing it. It only becomes a dream when we wake up. When it ends. Right? Till such time, but still such time that we're in it, it's real to us. So that is the real definition of what is real and what is unreal. Back to Param Guru Maharaj. So here's a question. Is that the same process by which the materialist sees this world as real? Srila Śrīdhar Mahārāj, no. Realization of spiritual reality is independent of all material contamination or misconception. That injection into our soul is given by Vaikuntha, by the eternal associates of Vishnu. Perceiving spiritual reality is the function of the soul, not of the material ego or senses. It is independent of that. When a patient is unconscious, the doctor gives him an injection. Then consciousness comes, and after that he can cooperate with the doctor by describing his symptoms. But before one can cooperate with the doctor does different things to help the unconscious patient. In the same way, when we are fully engrossed in our material engagement, the saints from the higher plane of reality act like doctors to inject some understanding of divinity into our consciousness. In this way, they try to awaken our spiritual self-interest, our consciousness of the soul. Dr. Singh. Once Bhaktivedanta Swami Mahārāj asked us to prove that matter comes from life by using science. I did not know how to start. How can we prove that matter comes from life? Srila Śrīdhar Mahārāj. The definition of evolution given by Darwin is that life comes from the fossil. But we say just the opposite. Evolution from inside of consciousness is the cause of our seeing the different things of this world. The evolution is from within. Evolution is not from the outside, as we might ordinarily think. This is the teaching of Vedanta. Reality does not develop from imperfection to perfection. It is only that a part of the perfection seems to be imperfect. To theorize that the imperfect is producing perfection is ludicrous. It is far more reasonable and easy to conceive that a part of the perfection has somehow become imperfect. It is perceived by us to be imperfect. That is the natural and more reasonable conclusion. We have to accept something of what Darwin says, but where does the fossil come from? And that the fossil can produce the infinite is a foolish idea. The body is amazing, the doctors with so many wonderful phenomena. They cannot fathom so many questions. How is it built? How are consciousness, intelligence, and genius centered in the brain? That wonderful thing that we find in the brain, the thought of the genius, is not produced by a material thing. The starting point must be the wonderful thing. We say that really exists, that wonderful thing, the source of all wonders. Everything is full of wonder. If we analyze the atom, we will be in wonder. Only we impose limitations. But when we analyze the atomic parts of wood or stone, we will be in wonder. The infinite is everywhere. Perfection is everywhere. The trouble is that with our limited thinking, we have produced a world of limits. But we who are captured by the scientific way of thinking are not ready to admit that. That is the puzzle. From the biggest to the smallest, from the lowest to the highest, everything is wonderful. But we won't admit that. We will go to the fossil and say that the fossil is producing everything. But what is that fossil? Dr. Marchetti. But how can we prove to the scientists that matter comes from life? These are philosophical arguments. The scientists will say, what is the utility of philosophical arguments? Śrīdhar Mahārāj. In the beginning of the electric generation, the famous scientist Michael Faraday gave a public demonstration of the power of electricity. In one experiment, Faraday generated electricity. With the current generated by his dynamo, he was able to move pieces of paper. After watching the wave of current move some pieces of paper, a lady challenged him. What is the utility of your electricity, Dr. Faraday? And he said, Madam, would you please tell me, what is the utility of a newborn babe? Is death philosophical? Death is there to frustrate all other things if you don't take shelter in philosophy. Philosophy can only face the greatest enemy, death. And death is not limited to a particular thing. It will include the whole world. The sun, the moon, the stars, this globe, and everything else will vanish in due course of time. The scientists themselves tell us so. If we want to live beyond the plane of death, philosophy will help us have an eternal life of eternal peace. Only philosophy can give us that. All these sciences of technology are simply an attempt to increase the glamour of this life. They are all enemies of the soul, deadly enemies. All of them lead us but to the grave. The grave is true, and only dealing with the grave philosophically will relieve us. Otherwise, we are all finished. These materialistic scientific conceptions are cunning enemies surrounding us. They are tempting us. Live in the material world. We shall help you. This is illusion. Dr. Marchetti. When you said that the world is in the mind, isn't that idealism? Śrīdhar Mahārāj. Berkeley's idealism. Not that we are in the world, but the world is in our mind. Of course, in a higher sense, we are not concerned with the mind. The material mind is also part of the world of misconception. The soul is living in the soul region, and the mind, ego, and everything else is dependent on the soul. If the soul is withdrawn, nothing remains. Here also, if life is gone, the body will perish. If the souls are withdrawn from this world, nothing will remain. The soul is reality. This mundane reality is to be described as a misconception which appears in the soul much the same as a dream appears in a person. The soul himself is unconcerned. And if the soul is returned to the world of soul and consciousness is withdrawn from this plane, nothing remains. It is all darkness, and it cannot exist independently. So this material reality is created by the soul's revolting attitude, its unhealthy attitude. Just as a man who is in a diseased condition experiences delirium. Disease is the cause of delirium. The delirium itself has no independent existence. The hallucination does not exist outside his mind. If you want to remove the delirium, you must treat the patient. His brain needs medicine. When he is treated, the world of delirium vanishes. In a similar way, the soul has developed a diseased condition and he suffers from delirium. And as the collective souls are suffering collectively from this delirium, this world appears real. Collectively, so many misguided, delirious persons are being connected or disconnected with this material reality. Dr. Murphy. Then what is the difference between the world of reality and material world? Srila Śrīdhar Mahārāj. This material world is only a reflection of complete reality. It is a conception we find exciting to us. Compelled by local interest of enjoyment, we have embraced this creation of the Lord. With our spiritual vision covered by the spectacles of prejudice, we are seeing things in a distorted way. Namaskar Sangeeta ji, Namaskar Preeti ji. But back to Param Guru Maharaj. The Lord is not to be blamed. The Lord is not to be blamed. Our spectacles should be blamed. Everything is meant for Him. The only difference in our vision of reality is that our vision is tainted with the colors of our different kinds of selfish interests. And the different planetary systems in the material world are different subplanes in the plane of enjoyment or exploitation. Our distorted consciousness is the source of the different colors of the things that surround us. And when these illusory conceptions are fully removed, we will find that everywhere it is Krishna and Krishna only. And when the conception of Godhead as Lord and Master is removed, then receiving His impetus of activity from Krishna consciousness, the soul will find himself in Vrindavan. But in order to attain that stage, we must have no consciousness of this body or the mind or the country conception, the nation conception, or the globe conception. All planes of limited conception must be crossed. from soul to super soul. The soul must enter deeper and deeper into reality, and you will find everything there. There you will find that Radharani and Krishna and Vrindavan is not false. It is neither poetry nor imagination. The only requirement is that we must develop our deeper nature, our self-identification through self-determination. In Hegel's language, self-determination is the fulfillment of all of us. Self-determination in the Vaishnava conception means Swarup Siddhi, spiritual identity. Who am I? What is my deeper self beyond my mind or my intelligence? Where am I? What is my inner self-interest? I must enter the plane of reality. I must get back my proper self. And in Krishna's connection, I will enter the environment and see what the world really is. If I am given some wine or some poison, then I shall become beside myself. I shall see things in a distorted way. I will be unable to recognize my sister or mother, and actuated by animal nature, I will see everything as an object for my enjoyment. The crude tendency of lust will cover my vision of everything. Then again, when I am sober, I shall see the same things, but my perception of them will be changed. In this way, we must be prepared to go deeper beneath the surface reality and find out who we are, what is our real self-interest. We should try to see the paraphernalia of reality according to our genuine self-interest. Through self-determination, we must learn to see things the opposite of the way we are seeing them at present. We must try to understand how to find ourselves. And by surrendering ourselves to Krishna's interest, then we shall try to go back home, back to Godhead. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivajakacharya Varyastotarasata Śrīla Bhakti Rakṣhak Śrīdhar Dev-Goswāmī Mahārāj ki Jai. Bhakti Rakṣhak Śrīdhar Dev-Goswāmī Mahārāj. Hare Krishna. Arun Prabhu, you must have heard Dharmo Rakshati Rakshita.
Yes.
Can you say something about what that means to you? Or who uses it? Just for our knowledge, and any agencies or any people who use that. Dharmo Rakshati Rakshita.
So, I think it comes from our Upanishads. And prior to that, in fact, what the other half of the book is misquoted by the modernists, which is Ahimsa Paramo Dharma.
Yeah, no.
Because that is only half.
Yeah, this is from an excerpt from Manusmriti. The verse is the entire verse is really general and about justice, and if you do this, then this will be the consequences. But this part, just this part, I feel is really kind of nice. And what it really means is dharmo rakshati rakshita, which means those who defend or those who are guardians of dharma, then in turn dharma looks after and defends them. I just find that really, which essentially means that if someone is at that position or is a dharma rakshak, then entire divinity is behind them. Don't think that they're just some one person or two individuals. Entire divinity. Dharma rakshati rakshita. And we know param dharma is bhakti. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radhokshare. And so just in the title of Śrīla Śrīdhar Mahārāj, I'm just offering some little flower in his lotus feet, and he's Bhakti Rakṣhak.
Yeah.
Anyway, that just came to me. Dharma rakshati rakshita.
On its own itself, this should give strength to anybody. To materialists say, why are you doing behind you powerful than you? I don't have to worry about it. As long as I'm serving that, the whole reality will protect me. I don't need anybody else's protection.
Jai. And we are happy to be, at least I'm so fortunate to be within the guardianship of Śrīla Śrīdhar Mahārāj, Gurudev, and all other Vaishnavas. They're all guardians. So it is so wonderful. But I just thought that was kind of pertinent in some way. That's why I brought that up. I think there are intelligence agencies and these commandos, they're the elite, the suicide squad kind of squadron commandos, paratroopers. They have their motto as Dharma rakshati rakshita. So they're kind of like that. They're going behind enemy lines, and so they kind of use it. I think, I'm not really sure what exact agencies or people use it, but that's where they use it. Okay, so should we call the elite Kirtan group? All right. Okay. Give me 2 minutes. Let me get them. Team EKG. Dhanyawad Abaji. Thank you. Team. Hello, team. Okay, they're coming.
Prabhuji, this is Kartik month. Do you think it is reasonable, or should we be singing Damodar Ashtakam?
Sure, you can.
Well, the elite team is there.
Yeah. So, here's the thing. What they're saying is that they'll do the Damodar Ashtakam, but if we can do it kind of all together and instead of repeating it behind them, that ways we can get through it a lot better, and then we can do the Hari Harai. Is that agreeable? Okay, great. I see nods. All right, I will let them know. Okay, we're good to go.
Page 254, people like me.
Was that good? Ready? Yeah. You need the book.
Could you give the title of the song again? I'm sorry.
Namami Shwaram Satchidananda. Page 254.
Damodar Ashtakam. Okay, should we begin? All right.
Sure.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
You tell them that we will sing.
Yeah, they got it. Namamishwaram Satchidananda Rupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Rajamanam Yashoda Vyolukha Labdhavamanam Paramrishta Matyanta Todutya Gopya Rudantam Muhurnetra Yugmam Rejantam Karamboja Yugven Satankanetram Muhushasakam Patrirekanka Kantha Sitagrevam Damodaram Bhakti Badham Iti Dikswalila Bherananda Kunde Swagosham Nimajantam Akhyapayantam Tadiyashitageshu Bhaktejitatam Puna Prematastam Shattavritti Vande Varam Deva Moksham Na Mokshavadim Va Nachanyam Reneham Vareshadapiha Idante Vapurnatha Gopala Balam Sadame Manasya Virashtam Kemane Idante Mukham Bojam Avyaktanile Vrittam Kuntale Snegdarakte Ishtagopya Muhushchumbitam Bimbarakta Dharam Me Manase Avirashtam Alam Lakshelabe नमो देव दामोदर अनंत विष्णु प्रसिद्ध प्रभु दुःख जलाधिमग्नम् कृपा दृष्टि वृष्टति दिनं बतानु गृहिणी क्षमामज्ञमेधे अक्षिदृश्य कुबेरात्मजो बद्धा मूर्ते वयाद्वत् त्वया मोचिता भक्ति भजाौ कृतौ च तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकं मे प्रयच्छ दाता प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकं मे प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मेऽस्ति दामोदरेह नमस्ते सुदाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिदाम्ने त्वदीयोदारयथ विश्वासदाम्ने नमो राधिकाय त्वदीयाय प्रियाय नमो राधिकाय त्वदीयाय प्रियाय नमो अनन्तलीलाय देवाय तोभ्यम् नमो अनन्तलीलाय देवाय तोभ्यम् नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम्
Jai.
Jai.
हरिहराय नमः कृष्णाय यादवाय नमः
हरिहराय नमः कृष्णाय नमः
यादवाय माधवाय केशवाय नमः
यादवाय माधवाय केशवाय नमः
गोपाल गोविंद राम श्री मधुसूदन
गोपाल
गिरिधारी गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन
गिरिधारी गोपीनाथ
श्री चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत चंद्र
चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत चंद्र
गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद जय रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीवा गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ इच्छाय गोसाई कोरी चरण वंदन जहाँ होते विघ्न नाश अभिष्ट पुराण इच्छाय गोसाई जार मुई तरदास
Can you do this?
Tasabara padarenu mora panchagras Tandera charana sevi bhakta sanevas janame mora ei abhilash इच्छाय गोसाई जबे ब्रज कोइलाबास श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण नित्या लीला कोरिला प्रकाश आनंद बोलो हरि भजा वृंदावन श्री गुरु वैष्णव पदे मजैया मान Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas.
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas.
Hari Naam Sankirtana ko hai Narottama Das. Hari Haraya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nittai Gaura Hari Bol,
तेरी शक्ल वहाँ दिख रही है.
Jai Jai Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar.
Joy. Okay, Anika ji, you ready? Please take it away. Joy.
Jai Om Misconception Chapter Bhakti Dev-Goswāmī Mahārāj ki jai. Jai Om Misconception Chapter Bhakti Dev-Goswāmī Mahārāj ki jai. Jai Om Misconception Chapter Bhakti Dev-Goswāmī ki jai.
Joy.
Jai Om Misconception Bhakti Mahārāj ki jai.
Joy.
Jai Om Śrīla Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai.
Joy.
Jai Om Misconception Jagannath Babji Mahārāj ki jai.
Joy.
Shri Paduka Guru Varga ki jai.
Joy.
Namaskar Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai.
Joy.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Joy.
Shri Bhagavad Vidya Bhushan ki jai.
Joy.
Shri Śrīla Vishwanath Chakravarti Prabhu ki jai.
Joy.
Shri Nurtama Shamananda Shri Vaishnava Prabhu ki jai.
Joy.
Shri Vinavada Thakur ki jai.
Joy.
Shri Krishna Samrat ki jai.
Joy.
Saprasada Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai.
Joy.
Saprasada Shri Mahaprabhu ki jai.
Joy.
Jai Shri Radhakrishna Gopa Gopinath Ramakunda Radhakunda Girdhar Govardhan ki jai.
Joy.
Shri Lakshmi Vardeva ki jai.
Joy.
Shri the Bhakti Vigna Vinashara Shri Nrsimha Deva ki jai.
Joy.
Bhakta Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai.
Joy.
Bhakti Purani ki jai.
Joy.
Ganga Jamuna Ji ki jai.
Joy.
Granth Raja Shin Bhagavatam Krishna Shamatra ki jai.
Joy.
Vishwa Vaishnava Raja Sabha ki jai.
Joy.
Akras Vachri Chaitanya Mas ki jai.
Joy.
Tanesaka Mas ki jai.
Joy.
Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai.
Joy.
Vishwa Abhyatan Saka Mas ki jai.
Joy.
Shri the Maipur ki jai.
Joy.
Jai. की जय।
Joy.
बलदेव सुभद्र जमुना जी की जय।
Joy.
श्री गोविंद कुंड की जय।
Joy.
श्री हरि शिव गंगा जी की जय।
Joy.
समवेत वैष्णव मंडल की जय।
Joy.
समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय।
Joy.
हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय।
Joy.
गौर प्रनंदे
Hari Hari Bol. Shrimati Preeti ji, Vikram ji and Anika ji ki jai. Shrimati Sangeeta ji ki jai. Chinmoy Shripad Chinmoy Dev Prabhu ki jai. Shripad Arun Krishna Prabhu ki jai. Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardhan Mahārāj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Mahārāj ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Acharya Brind ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Sannasi Brind ki jai.
Shripad Jairam Prabhu ki jai. Baba Didi ki jai. He ki jai.
Jai. All the assembled devotees ki jai. Nittai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Okay.